tend to believe those tend to be the best conferences. People have always, though, said that the SEC rules college football. My question is, has that changed? Is the landscape really shifting? Could other conferences be taking control of that narrative?
Best conference. Performed well in the big bowl game. They performed well outside of their conference. And the thing that I like that they have going is that they have two teams now that have shown they can win a national championship. The reason the SEC gained that reputation, as you guys know, they had so many different teams that were capable of winning a national title. It wasn't just Alabama. It was Florida. It was Auburn. It was LSU. And now it's just become Alabama. There's not that second team, that Clemson, if you will, to complement Alabama, where the ACC has that. The Big Ten has been putting all of its chips in Ohio State. There's not that second team that has emerged yet. Penn State might be that this year. We're still waiting on Michigan. And I think they're actually very well positioned this year because their two best teams going into a really exciting Pac-12 championship game that could do it. I think then you have what the ACC has right now, which is the claim of being the best conference.
You're listening to The Trifecta, and we are joined by ESPN college football reporter Adam. Adam, I was actually pleasantly surprised by the restraint that my co-host, Shanae Gumake, showed after you even mentioned Stanford as a possible sleeper, that being her alma mater. Like, she didn't even ask you a follow-up question about Stanford. I personally don't really have any such restraint, and I'm going to go hardcore homer here and ask you, why in all the top 25s that I'm seeing are the University of Colorado Buffaloes borderline last year to almost make the college football playoffs, depending on a hope could be coming out of Boulder this year?
Hey, Kate, I really like Colorado. I think they could be better offensively this year than they were last year, despite losing their quarterback. I mean, he was out for part of last year, and Steven Montez came in and had some success. The big game against Oregon. I know that they're very excited about his potential now as the full-time starter, and their receiving core, I think, could be the best overall. For Colorado, the question is, are they going to be anywhere near as good on defense after losing, a number of players to the NFL? But, that was Jim Levitt to Colorado, so I have some question marks on defense. But I think offensively, Colorado, especially with those receivers and
on Florida, as I am this season, and this is the Lane Kiffin effect. I mean, all of a sudden he's pulling all of these Power 5 players, broke within the last few minutes. Do you like what Kiffin is doing down there, or is this, as our friend Paul Feinbaum says, the underbelly of college football?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think it's less bad. I mean, again, how do you get not Central Florida, Florida Atlantic, risk that goes that's involved there, and there's risk on the coaching staff. There's risk in the roster that he's putting together. But in terms of talent, I think they're going to be the most talented team in the league, and they have the potential to rise very. If I'm not a big risk taker, I wouldn't take on that much risk, but it does fit with Lane Kiffin's personality. You can't follow his career to this point and say his attempt at turning things around very quickly at FAU, at the very least, it's going to be fascinating for all of us to watch, but there also is the potential for it to blow up on him.
And so I have a question. Which quarterback seems to be most primed to succeed in college football this year? And to follow that up also, sometimes the best quarterback in college is not the best that will succeed in the pros. Who do you forecast to succeed in the pros as well?
Wow, it's a great thing. I think we always talk about year of the quarterback, and it truly applies this year. I think some teams succeeded so much at the college level. I think of Baker Mayfield at Oklahoma. I mean, his numbers rip on the Big 12, and nobody plays defense and whatever, but his numbers are going to be staggering if he's put up the last few seasons. But then he's not an NFL prospect. When you talk about the NFL, you have to start in California, specifically LA, with Heisman frontrunner along with Josh Rosen at UCLA. And then another guy to watch out for, and we set a big story on him, Wyoming's Josh Allen, a guy that...
Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
That was ESPN college football.